Hey everyone, it's time for the chess opening tier list. We're going to arrange chess opening based on, well, how good they are basically. Now, the perspective will be from my end, somebody who's around 2200 federated and dreams of someday becoming a big man. Sorry, I meant chess grandmaster. So it's time to dive straight into it. So let's go. We're going to start from the right, well, because we never follow the rules. We are bad boys here. And we'll start with the Catalan opening. Now, the Catalan opening in my head is like the opening which every top grandmaster plays nowadays. Playing chess openings was a job. That's the job your parents want you to go for, very safe and sound. So, Catalan is never going to really go wrong for you, but I think it's not also, the opening which can ever hit legendary status. You need some risk element for that. So, for that reason alone, I think I'm going to put it in. I'm tempted to go into, oh yeah, but I'm not so sure. But yeah, I think most GMs will be pissed at me if I don't place it here. So let's put it in this category. The next one is the close Sicilian. Now, these two words remind me of statements like healthy McDonald's or ex-girlfriends. I mean, which make no sense at all in today's standing. I mean, if you're facing the Sicilian by playing 1e4, please don't go for the closest lane, go for the main lines. Otherwise, you're letting the entire chess community down. That's actually very difficult. It took Karakin a million tweets to do so. So please don't play the closest lane. And I have to place it in trash because there are not even any tricks there. So I think, yeah, trash is pretty appropriate. The next is the Danish Gambit. This is the opening your childhood coach probably taught you, the guy whom you know nowadays does not know any chess. So e4, e5, d4, ed4, and c3, and basically you would sack a couple of pawns like this and try to launch an attack on your opponent's king. As every 5-year-old knows how to beat this up, I think I'm going to put it into despot tricks for now. The next is the Dutch defense. When you see something beautiful, something amazing, like Anish Giri, a person who's just so amazing, I think God needs to balance it out somehow. And that's why he created the Dutch defense, so that something so awesome can have an equal trash counterpart. And that's why Dutch defense totally goes into trash. 1c4, the English, I mean, it's like the most cliche opening there is. It should be right in the middle. If I could squeeze the English opening right in the middle of okay and now we talking, I would, but I think it will automatically get pushed back to okay because it's just okay. Now, I hate the exchange Caro-Can, and there is one particular reason for that. There's nothing wrong with the opening itself. I think the opening is fine, but the people who love playing this, most double standard people in the entire world. I mean, imagine the exchange Caro-Can. Yeah, you play c6, d4, d5, and then white, takes on d5 and then plays c3. Then he will put the bishop on d3. He will put the bishop on f4 and claim, I'm going to put the knight on e5. And, there were games by Capablanca. He won so many crazy games and then he'll be so happy about it. But then, if I reach the same position via a London system, suddenly I am, avoiding theory. Suddenly, I am not such a great chess player. I'm not fighting to win as such. So, purely because these people diss the London system, you brought this upon yourself. Exchange French? Oh, yeah, now it's fine. Now, fool's mate is basically f3, e5, g4, and queen h4 mate. So it is kind of stupid, to be honest. But on the other hand, you can give the excuse that the player is a beginner. So probably not as bad as the exchange French, but still pretty bad and still trash. Italian 4 knights, I think most beginners play this and it's kind of a natural opening. So probably needs to be somewhere in the OK section. Oh wow, the Fred opening. Nowadays, every Tom, Dick, and Harry has an opening with his name. This opening is just scrappy, with f3, e5, and king f2. This is not even, as good as the Bonk Cloud, because in the Bonk Cloud, the white king has the guts to move forward towards his enemy and show him the finger. Here he's kind of confused. Yeah, do I move forward, back? Forward, back. He doesn't even know. And this confusion surely deserves to be in the trash section. Oh, the French defense. I have to say, I have had good results with the opening. It gives you some chances for sure. Although I don't like blocking my light square bishop. But, with personal experience, I am going to put it in the OK section. But just barely. Of course, I'm kidding. It goes in the trash. The fried liver is too theoretical. I mean, if I want to remember so much theory, I would play the King's Indian defense. So let's just put it into despot tricks, yeah? The Geico is very interesting. This structure after playing bishop to c4 and then c3 and preparing moves like d4, I do like the strategic element of this. You learn plans, you learn tactical ideas and whatever other crap grandmasters would say. And this is a very good opening, I think, especially for beginners to understand and grasp. So I think I would put it in the now we talking section. I think this needs one entry for sure. When you start playing against a Sicilian, I think there's a lot of theory to remember, and clearly the Grand Prix attack at least solves that problem. You have the option of, not learning so much theory. Starts after e4, c5, knight c3, g6, f4, and you launch this attack where the queen slowly transfers to the king side. It is kind of naive, but then it is very effective as well. So I would put it in the okay section. Yo, Grove fans watching this video, yeah, your opening is right here. Why the hell do you play this? I mean, this opening is 1 g4, opening up the safety of the place where you might want to castle. Maybe something that doesn't hand the game on a platter to your opponent. So I would put this in the trash for now while you find a new opening to play. Oof, the Grunfeld. I mean, no doubt it's going to be, oh yeah. I mean, so many world champions playing this effectively. I mean, it has a Swidler photo for God's sake. So for sure, oh yeah. The next is the Hippo opening. Imagine if you were given superpowers right now, you could fly, you could, shoot lasers, but then you use those powers to simply get girls. I mean, I think that would be the problem with the Hippo opening. Chess has given you the luxury to move your pawn 2 squares. You can move them on the first move, but then Hippo players would play g6. They would simply play bishop g7, e6, d6, b6, bishop b7, knight d7, knight e7, and not move any of those pawns on the 5th rank. I think giving these players superpowers is useless. They should probably play Chaturanga or some other game and not play chess. Very appropriate. Okay, Italian is a universal opening. Beginners love it, masters love it. It surely deserves to be in the okay section for sure. I mean, but wait, didn't Carlsen defeat Karyakin with the Italian? Once there was a horrible chess player. He played e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5, and then he simply sacrificed this bishop, gave away it for free basically, and then gave away the knight for free as well. And then, when he was caught and, he was humiliated by his friends, how can you blunder 2 pieces? He called it a gambit, and that was known as the Jerome Gambit. It's very obvious it deserves a level much below trash, but yeah, let's just keep it here for the time being. Next is the King's Gambit. Now, many amateurs and grandmasters have played this effectively and they love this opening. To be honest, this is my tier list and I don't like it. So, my openings, my rules, and that's why I'm going to put it in the Despot Trick section. The Indians don't like the King's Indian for sure. But somehow in practical play, I've seen it work again and again. It at one point was the only opening Rajabov played and Nakamura played. So I have to keep it as somewhere around okay, even though objectively it might be even lower. Oof, the King's Indian attack. To be honest, I mean, if you want to attack your opponent, I think you should have an opening choice which is more ambitious, not just to blindfold play your first 35 moves. So I would put it somewhere around the Despot Tricks category, although it can work sometimes. The Latvian Gambit is a way for black to, just raise the stakes on move number 2. After e4, e5, knight f3, he would simply play the move f5. Now this is supposed to be much better for black with objective play, but I think I've seen many players play this even nowadays, even at top level it's played sometimes. But yeah, objectively white should be clearly winning almost, so I think it's not a good opening at all. So I think trash is the appropriate place for the opening to be. We have a second line of trash now. That's awesome. It's well known I am not one of the critics of the London system. I think this is an opening which at least gives you a chance to, not having to remember tons and tons of theory. I think what top players forget is that not everybody is trying to be Magnus Carlsen himself. So for the average club player, it's a very good opening. So I'm going to place it somewhere around now we talking. Whenever you look at chess openings, look at the name of the black openings. It's always like the Grunfeld defense, the King's Indian defense, but rarely do you see the word attack in an opening which black plays, and this is the case for the Marshall attack. No doubt it's going to be in the oh yeah section. I mean, it's theoretical, I know, but it just works. Oh my god, it's the Naidov. It's the Naidov. Bow down to the Naidov. Yes, I think we might just have our first legendary opening right here. Quickly put it there. Finally, number one. The perk is a very interesting opening. Nowadays, Nihal Sareen plays it, so I think it cannot be discounted at all. It is, of course, a bit provocative, so I am going to put it in the OK section, on the lower half of the OK section, but just barely. The Polish opening basically refers to 1b4. I mean, that's the move you accidentally mouse slip when you're trying to play 1b3. So I would suggest it should somewhere be in the Despot tricks category, because after all, there is no point to 1b4, is there? The Ponziani opening is kind of an advanced Geico. And after e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, you don't have the guts to go for the Scotch, so you play c3 first and see how matters go, hoping that the bishop would come to c5. But to be honest, this is not really that ambitious and has to be played somewhere in the tricks category. Let's quickly put it there. The Portuguese gambit is not so bad. It's not supposed to be perfect for black, but here black plays knight f6 and tries to capture back the pawn. But here, of course, you have to be prepared for sacrificial lines like c4, where you probably have to sack a pawn, but it is supposed to be good for black. So I think this one is actually decent enough. So I am going to place it in the OK category. That's a very controversial decision. I think might be the most controversial thus far. But yeah, I mean, as I told you, I'm a bad boy and I take risks. The Queen's Gambit. I mean, what else can you play against 1d4 when you want to play solid? There's nothing else. I mean, it's so old but really good. Like, it kind of justifies the statement old is gold. I am going to put it in oh yeah, but to be honest, with the TV series coming out with the name Queen's Gambit, we have to go for legendary. It was also opening played by Kasparov, so I think we should follow Kasparov's opening choices. For the next 10 openings, I'm going to do a speedrun. Let's quickly go through them. Réti opening, I think is pretty okay. It's very solid. Both bishops on the long diagonals. Ruy Lopez, strategic. Number one opening for top players. Definitely, oh yeah, if not legendary. I don't play it, so not legendary at all. Scandi, yeah, Carlsen can visit it, but you can't. You can't really, so don't play that. Scotch, it's kind of a solid opening, but then it's kind of been solved for black how to equalize, so probably okay. Sicilian defense, well, we have the knight off in legendary. The Sicilian has to go somewhere in oh yeah. Sicilian dragon is not one of the best Sicilians you can go for. I think white definitely gets a slight edge, so I have to go for okay. Slav defense, sometimes you have a good product in the market, that is the Queen's Gambit. You try to modify it, but sometimes create more problems than solutions, so I have to go for okay. I think I don't personally like playing the Slav defense as black. Smith's Mora Gambit. I mean, the Sicilian is so good that white simply has to sack a pawn now to gain equality. Yeah, let's put it in trash. I think we have not put the opening in trash for a while. The Sodium attack. Wow. The Sodium attack is supposed to be knight a3 on the first move. I think the knight is trying to attack on this board adjacent to this board, like it's trying to head to the other board. Maybe that's where it's trying to attack, because there's no chance of attacking on this board for sure. So definitely a trashy opening, and that's where it'll go. Then you have the Stonewall. I think Stonewall and Dutch are kind of a bit similar in their rankings, but just for the sake of it, I will still put it in trash. Now, I can't do it. French defense goes to where it belongs, basically. So I think trash is appropriate. Philidor is similar to, I would say, the perk in many ways. The d6, d6 structure can transpose sometimes. So I'll put it in okay. Petrov defense. Wow. The move which has been played by Kramnik, Vishy Anand, Fabiano Caruana. I mean, so many legends of the game going for this opening. And this just deserved to be in at least Now We Talking. I know it's kind of a drawish weapon, but I think in the end, it's an opening which does the job it's meant to do. So definitely Now We Talking. Nimzo Larsen attack with 1b3. Surely a strategic idea for white. It doesn't take the center for sure, but then Adhiban has a course on it. So I have to kind of put it at least in okay. Caro-Kann is a decent opening. It's definitely an improvement on the French, because you keep your bishop's diagonal open. Now that bishop can get kicked around from here to here, sometimes get trapped. But I think strategically, it's a definitely good concept. So I would put it somewhere in the OK section, although on the lower edge of it. Then we have the Budapest Gambit. That's the favorite of the streamer, Samay Raina. But to be honest, it's a terrible opening. I think the basis sometimes people play it on is this opening trap. which starts after d4, knight f6, c4, e5. This is the Budapest gambit. And when you take this pawn, they play knight g4 and try to, capture this pawn slowly, and will say that they are fully developed and they've taken the pawn back. But it takes a while to get this pawn. And for example, bishop f4 tries to defend this pawn, bishop b4 check, knight to d2, and now black plays queen e7. And here you're supposed to basically play the move e3, but if you try to, attack this bishop, then black can take on e5, knight takes, and if ab4, then knight d3 is actually checkmate. This is the trap they basically play the opening on. There are some strategic concepts as well. Sometimes a5, rook a6, rook g6 is also played, but to be honest, this looks more fancy than would actually happen in a real game of chess. So I will have to put this in despot tricks. Now let's start from the left. I think we can change move orders whenever we want without any reason, as we are bad boys. And for the X-rated dragon, I think it's definitely, again, not the best Sicilian you can go for. So I would just put this, in okay, but purely for the sake of it, I would recommend going for the knight off, for example. Then you have advanced Caro-Can. Now that opening is very strategic. The idea is to, slowly, gain space on the king side. So I do like it for sure for white. I have to go for now we talking. Then you have the advanced French. First of all, why the black side is playing the French defense, I have no clue. If they are playing it, especially for beginners, advanced French is not so bad. I would say it should be probably okay. The Alapin Sicilian is an opening which you play when you're bored with the mainline theory. E4, C5, C3. Now, this resembles many E4, E5 openings we sometimes see, but yeah, you're trying to put the second pawn in the center, strategically correct, but do you have time for this? It's like, you're trying to run the best marathon there is in a 100-meter race. I mean, yeah, you could do it, but there is no point to it. The audience is not here to watch that. And once you have e4, c5, mostly your mainline repertoire should be based on knight f3 somehow. You can play it sometimes, but that's why it's nothing more than just, just okay. Alekhine defense. I mean, all respect to Alekhine, he was a great player, but his opening, dude, I mean, just imagine the humiliation of this knight. Yeah, it comes out to f6, gets kicked away. The knight comes here, tries to breathe for a second, gets kicked away. It comes here, sometimes even now gets kicked away. I mean, after move 3, this knight must be wondering, I think, is this all there is to life? He might have some depression problems. He might already need a counselor or something. So let's try to reduce the number of psychiatrists required in this world, and let's not play such openings. After you put the Alekhine's opening into the trash straight away, we go to the Benoni defense. Now this is from Black's perspective. The Benoni starts after d4, knight f6, c4, c5, d5, e6, and you have this structure. But regardless, white will at some point manage to push through e5, and when he does so, I think black will be the one struggling. You also prevent counterplay on the queen side. This is very difficult to achieve. However, after moves like bishop f4 later on, castles, rook e1, white will achieve e5, and when he does, this will be a pass pawn. I have no intention to give my opponent a potential pass pawn in the opening itself by my doing. I know Tal played some beautiful games with this, but Tal was Tal, I am no Tal, you are no Tal, and with that Tal, I think we should realize that this is not the best opening for us. So I guess we can put this in the despot tricks, but it's not desperate as such, but I think the plans for white are very well known and black finds it difficult to equalize. And with that, we go to the Berlin defense. Oh my god. The opening, which was so much popularized by Vladimir Kramnik, and since then, for the last 20 years, whenever you see the Berlin defense on the board, people are already shit scared. People with the white pieces don't know what to do. They start repeating moves with queen d4, queen e6, queen d4 check, and they have nothing else to do. So I think the Berlin definitely deserves to be at least in, oh yeah, I would put this in legendary, but I think it's only been, legendary for 20 years. So for example, you can't for sure say Magnus is the GOAT purely because he has many years to go. Same way, I think it's a few years till we can call legendary, but for now, it deserves to be, oh yeah. After all these openings, only one remains, and the one which you love the most, and that is the Bonk Cloud. The one popularized by GM Hikaru Nakamura when he drew against Magnus Carlsen. They both start giggling like little girls. I think this opening has captured the heart of the younger audience. By younger audience, I mean people who don't know how to play chess and then act as if they, are losing purely because of the Bonk Cloud. But regardless, you can only have two opinions about this. Either this goes into the trash, or either this goes into legendary. I'm confused totally. Where should I put the Bonk Cloud? Hikaru's face dancing around, smiling regardless. That's the beauty of the Bonk Cloud. It doesn't really care about the category. That's why it's so beautiful. The king, not scared about anything in this world, simply moving forward just to give a middle finger to the opponent king. We've seen the black king step out sometimes as well, but to be honest, this requires guts, blocking your queen, blocking your bishop. But regardless, great guts. You understand what I'm trying to say, right? I mean, great guts for sure. Purely because of the data we have so far, only Hikaru is the guy who split it too much and he ends up winning all his games. He even won a classical game with the Bonk Cloud against Jeffrey Jeong, who was a 2700 rated player. So because of that reason, for now, based on the data we have, I have to put it in legendary. Just because of the effort, the guts it takes to put the king on e2, legendary Bonk Cloud. This was the tier list for chess openings according to me. Do let me know which ones do you agree with and which one you just cannot accept under any circumstances. Let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, as always, take care and keep smiling.